Welcome to a very special Impact edition of the Exeter Weekly Report. I'm Hillary Donnell. This is Exeter TV. First up today, we have a message from Condra from the Exeter Public Library about how you can receive their services at home.
Hello all, I'm Condra from the Exeter Public Library. While the building is closed, the library is still here for you. Enjoy thousands of books, magazines, movies, and more online through Overdrive, Libby, and Hoopla. All you need is your library card. And if you need a library card, you can get one through our website, exeternh.gov/library. Check out our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram for even more resources and special virtual programs. The Children's Room Facebook page shares stories every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m., so check that out. In other exciting news, the renovation is still progressing. Walls have been painted, windows and carpets are being put in. It's very exciting, and you can check out our website or social media for photos. Just as a reminder, please hold on to anything you have at home. All items have been renewed until a week after we reopen, and we never have fines. If you need to contact the library, send us an email at exeterpl.ref@gmail.com or deweyexeter1@comcast.net. That's exeterpl.ref@gmail.com or deweyexer1@comcast.net. Wishing you all well, and we miss you.
Here's a preview of an interview we conducted with the Executive Director of New Hampshire Humanities about their involvement in the New Hampshire CARES Act grant program. Hello, everyone. Hillary Donnell from Exeter TV here. We are learning about the New Hampshire Humanities involvement in the CARES Act grants, and please introduce yourself.
Well, thanks, Hillary. I'm Anthony Poore, and I'm lucky to be the Executive Director of New Hampshire Humanities. Thanks for having me.
Can you give us a little bit of a summary of what you guys have been doing with this CARES Act grant project?
Our work in the CARES grant has now provided us another opportunity to be of service to the state. And so if you're familiar with the CARES Act, when that money was made available, 56 of my peer organizations, including myself, were tasked with making those resources available at the ground level. And so this is kind of a new role for us. Historically, we provided program-related grants, but this is the first time we provided general operating support grants that were developed as a response to the pandemic and the negative impact on our libraries, historical societies, other cultural organizations, and so on. And so it's a new role for us, but it's a role that we were eager to step into and be of service.
Do you have like a picture of sort of what that looks like for an individual or organization?
These are really about nuts and bolts, simply helping organizations, pay their salaries, keep the lights on, and so they can continue operations during the crisis to the extent possible, but also after this is well past us, because again, this too shall pass. On May 1st, we launched this effort. So over a period of 13 days, we received 89 applications for general operating support. And after careful review and consideration, we were able to fund 64 of those applications at a total sum of $400,000. And we were able to positively impact 47 communities. You can see we have identified in black circles a number of the regions or towns and villages that received grants from us, general operating support grants. So as you can see, we go as far north as Colebrook, right, to as far south in the state. Of course, it would be, Ringe would be the furthest thing. All 10 counties in New Hampshire receive support. One thing I do want to leave your audience with is two things. Number one, if we can be of service, please never hesitate to call us here at New Hampshire Humanities. And the number is 224-4071. Again, that's 224-4071. I'm here every day. You call me. Number two is, we're here. And so we want to be of service and we want to be leveraged and utilized. So don't forget that website either. Look for those community project grants. We'll continue to do our work. And if there's areas where people think we should concentrate some resources, I'd love to have them speak up.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. It's a very interesting and important project, and I love to hear that these organizations are being supported. Hillary Donnell, Exeter TV, signing out. It's been great to talk to you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. coming soon, the Racial Unity Team's Fireside Chat. Here's a preview.
I want to welcome everyone to our Fireside Chat with the Racial Unity Team. My name is Tanisha Johnson, and I am on the board of Racial Unity Team, as well as on the program committee that plans these wonderful events. For those who may not know, Racial Unity Team was born out of the tragic June 2015 shooting of 9 Black people at a church in Charleston, South Carolina. The shooter wanted to start a revolution of hate, and a small group of people in Exeter decided to start a revolution of love.
And I chair the Racial Unity Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm happy to see all of you here today, and I'm also here to talk about current events and how that's going on around the country, and especially the killing of George Floyd. The horror of watching one Black man's life being choked off requires outrage. The violence and inhumanity that killed George Floyd minute after minute is the lens through which we see the terrible force of structural racism in our communities, our institutions, and our nation.
Hello everyone, my name is Bob Thompson. I've lived in Exeter for, 33, almost 34 years now. And it may be significant to say that this is the only town I've ever lived in my life where I've been called the N-word walking on the street. So the reality of being Black in New Hampshire is, for me, the word is intentional. I mean, I went to school here, Phillips Exeter Academy, when we were students. If there were more than 2 of us downtown Exeter, the police cars would begin circling.
And for us, for Exeter, absolutely echo what the Reverend said, and we will continue to work with our community and continue to build these relationships with you all. Pretty amazing that our community, Exeter and the surrounding communities, and obviously there are people on here from far away, to have a racial unity team like this that's willing to come together and quite frankly make some kind of change, force a change.
This is a prayer for America, and it's going to mention government, and it's really the ideal American government. So don't take it for 2020 or 2010. It's the ideal American government. O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious.
We now go to statements from the Exeter Town Manager, the Exeter Chief of Police, and the Chair of the Exeter Select Board.
As Chair of the Select Board, I want to take a moment before we begin to denounce the horrific death of George Floyd, which took place in Minneapolis last week. These continued heinous and cowardly acts of police brutality have become too frequent, and the use of excessive force is not only intolerable, but critically jeopardizes people's trust and faith in our justice system. Communities are understandably frightened, angry, heartbroken, exhausted, and frustrated. Prayers and condolences are not enough. Law enforcement and officials in leadership position, in addition to showing understanding and compassion, must be accountable and follow best professional practices. Nonviolent protest, one of the great rights we are afforded as Americans, must be respected. I am proud of how our community over the past few days has exercised the right to protest in a nonviolent manner. I call on all of us to exercise our rights passionately, with common sense, and with dignity. I know Chief Poulin would like to read a statement that he released earlier today on behalf of the Exeter Police Department.
On behalf of the entire Exeter Police Department, we send our deepest condolences to the family and friends of George Floyd. We also want to extend our sorrow to all people of color, especially within our community, who are once again subject to more pain and suffering and are reliving prior negative life experiences brought about by these acts of violence. As a police chief, I outright condemn the actions of the police officers in Minneapolis. I've watched a tragic video as a human life is taken from us, murdered by people who violated our oath to serve and protect. This devastates me. Unbelievable. In our community, the men and women of the Exeter Police have worked hard at building trusted relationships with people of all races and ethnicities. We will continue to do so. The history of the town of Exeter is one that describes a community that is willing to stand up for what's right in unison with strength and fortitude. And I am certain that together we will watch justice prevail. In closing, I want to say again that as a community, we place a high value on the impact of peaceful protesting and for the voice of the people to be heard. The Exeter Police will always protect everyone's rights and freedoms. However, we will not tolerate those that attempt to silence, threaten, or intimidate with hatred. I invite you all to partner with us in making Exeter become an example of helping to promote the legacy of George Floyd and become one for a positive catalyst for systematic change. Thank you.
Those before me who spoke and add my input. I did write up a little statement that I'll read. Like my fellow town officials, as Exeter town manager, I condemn the actions in Minneapolis regarding George Floyd and the resulting pain brought to his family. As someone with a key administrative role within a municipality, my hope is that this senseless act can be used as a catalyst ultimately for positive change. As a result of this act, we must have change. Until then, I ask that we all feel the emotions of the situation and double our efforts and commitment to make systemic changes to assist us in creating a system that is functional, accountable, and above all is just. This must happen locally, and it must happen nationally for the benefit of us all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now go to Exeter TV's Bob Glowacki, who was in Exeter's downtown on the evening of June 4th.
Protesters gathered on June 4th outside of the town hall in downtown Exeter.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
We spoke to some of the protesters to learn why they thought it was important to gather here in Exeter.
Just like I was, a lot of people are naive to the fact that racism exists in small little communities like Exeter, New Hampshire. We need to be speaking up in those little, small, non-diverse communities, especially to the point that George Floyd was the tipping point. It is not a one-case problem. It is a system of racial injustice in our country. We're asking for change, something that I think everybody could stand up against. Everybody would probably agree that we could have some more protocols with police training, some more accessible voting tools. So we're just asking everybody to speak up, say the names of everybody that's been affected, filmed and not filmed. So please stand up in your communities, even if you feel uncomfortable, even if you're afraid to say the wrong thing, you're afraid to come off as a white savior, you're afraid to make your friends uncomfortable. We need to keep having these conversations. That's the only way we're going to solve this problem.
I'm Blake. I came out here because not only is it important to be anti-racist and anti-fascist, but it's important to show it. We have authoritarianism in America. Racism has been alive and well forever, still here, so it's important to show that it's got to stop. And you know, I'm just completely opposed to it, so I'm here demonstrating that, because it's important.
The events in the past week have been so heartbreaking, and I felt like I haven't been able to do anything, and I've been so helpless, even from posting on social media and trying to sign petitions and call senators and try and take actions to be involved. And I wanted to go to more like bigger protests, but I am trying to find some locally in here, and we need, because Exeter is a pretty much all-white place. We need to have more people speak up and not let all these injustices happen and hear the racist jokes and see the racist crimes and not talk about it, because it needs to be spoken of and more people need to spread awareness and help stop these injustices from happening.
I'm Josie. I'm here today to show that Black Lives Matter, and just because of somebody's skin tone doesn't mean that they should be treated any more poorly than I am. As a white person, I believe it is my duty to use my privilege to stand up for lives that don't have the privilege that I do, and today I'm here to protest the death of George Floyd and the mistreatment of lives of people of different colors.
On the evening of June 4th, the Newmarket community held a prayer vigil. Here's footage from the event.
My name is Patty Marsden, and I'm the pastor of Newmarket Community Church. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Spend this next hour or so with us in prayer and reflection, to hear the words of some leaders in our community, bring our hearts together and open up our hearts to this tragic time in our country, to bear witness to our pain, and to find ways that we are able to move forward.
Good evening, everyone. I want to express to you all how horrified I am with the senseless murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and many others. I know that a vast portion of people in our country live their day-to-day lives in fear that something similar could happen to them. I may know, but I don't understand. Let's be honest. The last thing you want is a lecture by a person who looks like me and who's had my life experiences. I bet it's definitely a lecture about equality. I cannot comprehend what many people go through. It's not the time for me to lecture. It's the time for me and for others to listen.
Thank you, Pastor Petty. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. It is very heartening to see these faces out here today. I didn't write a speech. I'm going to speak from my heart. It works for me when I speak from my heart. I'm going to say some things. A good friend of mine told me a few years ago it's okay to be uncomfortable when we speak to each other about race. And you're going to hear from that man in a few minutes. I'm saddened. I'm hurting. I'm embarrassed. And I'm angry about what we witnessed last week in Minneapolis. It was 1,400 miles away. And what we saw was humanity at its worst. That is not what we represent.
How's it going, everybody? Thank you guys for coming. Like the chief said, it was really nice to see everybody here. I can be honest and say that I wasn't going to come to this event originally, just because of where I stand with everything that's going on in the world right now. Being an African American and being a police officer, I can't speak for the rest of the ones in the world, but for me right now, I feel like I'm in a void space by myself. I got one side of the world that hates the other side of the world, and I'm stuck like in the middle right now. Okay, so I wasn't going to come here originally, but I spoke with my chief, and the words that he gave to me, much like the words he presented you guys with today, motivated me to come here today. So real quick, I just want to talk about equality like everybody else has been talking about. To me, equality and fairness and right and wrong is when I go to one restaurant and get bad service. I don't go to the next restaurant and treat those people ill-manneredly like it's their fault what I experienced the first time happened.
To wrap up this Exeter Weekly Report, we have a short promo of the Class of 2020 awards ceremony, which you can check out on Blue Hawk Media's YouTube page in full.
Is this thing on?
Hello, Class of 2020.
And welcome to Virtual Class Day.
Which is just like regular class day.
Without pants.
We'd like to thank you all in joining us in celebrating each other.
As Exeter High School's highest annual honors are awarded.
There is no need to hold your applause.
God knows you never do.
You never do.
You never do.
You're doing it now, aren't you?
I'll wait.
Thank you.
For our first set of awards tonight, Miss Riley and Miss Caputo would like to recognize some fantastic Hot Crew leaders.
Hello, class of 2020. It's our pleasure to be here talking to you on class day, and we're here to give awards to Hot Crew. Before we do, we just wanted to say how proud we are of you and how happy we are to have had the chance to have taught you and worked with you over the years. We know this is unusual, but we also have a lot of faith in you and what you are going to do in the future.
I'd also like to give a big thank you to all of the class officers, including our honorary members. They've been such a great team to work with, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. They are the ones that allowed us to create these events and these memories. I'd also like to thank our class advisors, Mr. Kinton and Mrs. Morse, for all they have done to help us along the way. And thank you to all of you for supporting us in what we've done in our 4 years, whether you attended events, helped us out, or gave us ideas. We as a class have raised the bar through what we have done in our 4 years. But while we did this, we made sure to lay the framework to help other classes reach similar heights. We've done great things while giving others the tools to do the same and to do better. We've made sure to help others along the way. That is something truly special about our class, and that is what makes us different from many of the other classes that have passed through Exeter. And even without being in the walls of Exeter High School, we have left our mark. We've had to do things differently, but that's truly what the class of 2020 has always done. Thank you all, and I will see you at graduation.
Thank you for watching the Exeter Weekly Report. Hillary Donnell for Exeter TV. Here's your weekend forecast.